Brothers and sisters, respected guests, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For every nation, there are the great ones, there are the noble ones. And for our nation, it is Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that our great, magnificent ones. Ahlul Bayt, الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. Allah made them the purest of the pure, incapable of any impurities. And the Sayeda Zainab that we come today to commemorate her martyrdom was one of these noble, magnificent ones from Ahlul Bayt. When we wish to speak about any of our noble ones, the Prophet Muhammad and his progeny, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, no matter how long we take and no matter how many words we use, it is very hard to come even close to specifying and explaining and sharing how noble and how grand they are. Words cannot do them justice. But for us, as the flowers and the plants in the dry, barren land that is today's world, speaking of Ahlul Bayt is the drop of water from an ever-flowing pure river that we use to quench, if only for a little bit, our thirst. I will begin today with introducing who is Zainab. Zainab alayhi salam is the daughter of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, Zahra alayhi salam. When our Prophet, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told Fatima al-Zahra that you are Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, she said to him, but oh father, Maryam is Sayyidat Nisa. Maryam, the mother of Nabi Isa, is the lady of ladies. And he said to her, oh daughter, she was the lady of the ladies of her time, but you are the lady of all ladies, of all time, in this life, in the afterlife, in the heavens. You are the queen of all of the ladies. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And to this, Zahra replied, she said, Walhamdulillah hadhihi al-ni'mah, and thank God for this blessing. And another of her blessings was the Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam. Sayeda Zainab was the granddaughter of the most noble of men created, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Khatam al-Anbiya, the final prophet, Habibullah, Allah's prized one. His granddaughter she was. And then on, she was the daughter of Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the queen of all ladies. And furthermore, she was the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader, the master of all believers. This is the grand lineage of the Sayyidah Zainab alayhi salam. It cannot get any greater than these magnificent three. And to further it even more, who are her brothers? But Sayyida Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, Imam Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam, the masters of the men of paradise. Her lineage in itself can be no more noble. Not only was she their daughter and granddaughter, but she was also their student. For how greater or how much better can we get than for the Nabi to be our teacher, for Sayyidah Fatima to be our teacher, for Imam Ali to be our teacher. And she was their product. All the knowledge that was bestowed upon them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was trickled down to Zainab. So that when Zainab was left, she can do nothing but be as strong, but be as powerful, but be as knowledgeable to those who were around her. And she was. During her childhood, she was raised by Nabi Muhammad and her mother, Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. And she lost the first light of her life, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This was the first light that was turned off in Sayyidah Zainab's life. Shortly after, she lost her mother, as we know, Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam. And so now she was left with Imam Ali. And she was by his side as he struggled after the passing of Nabi Muhammad. I speak very briefly because, of course, we cannot go and delve into each and every single story as much as I would love to. But again, she lived through and saw forth until her father was martyred, Imam Ali alayhi salam. And now who was she left with? After her father is killed, after she had been to him the mother, just as Fatima al-Zahra had been to her father, Abiha. She was the mother of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and now she was mother to her brothers, Imam Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam. Shortly thereafter, she loses her brother, Imam Hassan, due to being poisoned by his cursed wife. Who is left now for Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam? Imam Hussein. And we know what is in store for Zainab and Imam Hussein and her children and their friends. Sayeda Zainab alayhi salam is known, or one of the titles given to her is al-Masa'ib, the mother of calamities. Why? Because it was pain after pain and strife after strife that she was dealt with during her living. But did she falter? Did she fall? Did she break? No, she remained there to support her brother, to support her brothers in his mission, ultimately by way of Allah. Sayeda Zainab now must go because she was with her brother side by side with an ultimate love that cannot be described in words, the love and respect and cherish that come from Zainab to Hussein and Hussein to Zainab alayhim salam. But she goes with them. They are now on their mission to go to Karbala. And as the women have all gotten to ride in the camels in their caravan, Imam Hussein notices Zainab, Zainab, you have not gotten into the caravan. Why do you wait? And she says to him, Oh Hussein, can I get up without the help of my brother Al-Abbas? And to which Al-Abbas replies, Sayyidati wa mawlati, I am at your service. As you wish, as you command, I am there for you. And he helps her along. This is Zainab, loved and cherished and spoiled and cared for and held as big as a prize in a family could be, and still having to endure all this with the most important people to her. And they go on and they go to Karbala. And before she leaves, she asks permission of her husband. Can I go with my brother Hussein and take my children with me? Of course she may, and she does. And she takes her own two sons to support Hussein, to be by Hussein, to die in the way of Hussein like all of their friends and the rest of the men have died in that family. And she does, and she continues through. We get to Karbala, and one by one, the members of the family are killed, and Zainab must endure and must see what is happening to the most important people of her life. Her sons have been martyred. Al-Abbas, who was sent to get water for the children and the women of the camps, he is lying there, his last breaths before he leaves his holy body, his noble body, and he says to Hussein, Oh my brother, which he usually only refers to Hussein as Sayyidi Mawlai, my leader. He says, my brother, do not take me back to camp. Why don't you want to go back to camp? Oh my brother, replies Hussein alayhi salam, I cannot face Zainab. I promised them water and I was not able to fulfill my promise. I cannot look at Zainab if I do not have the water which I promised her, even though it was not of my accord to not fulfill my promise. This is Al-Abbas to Zainab, a brother to his sister, leaving his body on earth, and he is concerned how he is unable to face his sister because he was not able to fulfill his last promise. And so we move forth. Hussein is in his final breaths. Zainab has now had to endure the passing of her grandfather, Habibullah, the passing of her mother, Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen, the passing of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali, the passing of Imam Hassan and her brother, Al-Abbas, and now Imam Hussein. Who is Zainab left with? For each of us, one calamity of these is enough to obliterate us. She has gone through these one by one, and still she must remain strong. Why? She's the last one standing. She has women and she has children she must care for. She has the legacy of her family to live by and to prove her faith in Allah, and she does. Some legends try to paint Zainab as weak and frail and mourning. Yes, she was mourning, and yes, she was sad, but she was not weak. She had much on her plate to be strong for. And she must get to her brother's body, and she must send him off, and she sees him laying there, and what does she say? She says, "Oh Allah, accept from us this offering. Accept from us this offering." She is not upset, but she is asking Allah to accept. تقبل منا هذا القربان. This is for you, O Allah. And this is on her way to bidding farewell to the last light in her life. And she does. And before he passes, Al-Hussein says his will to her, "Oh Zainab, I leave you with my will. Do not be upon yourself. Do not let the enemy have pity on us. Do not give them the satisfaction of seeing you torn and seeing you down." And she promises and she fulfills. On the inside, she is crying a million tears. But on the outside, she must not let the enemy see that they have gotten to her. And she goes. Even on her way to see her brother, the enemies who now realize what they've done cannot bear to look at Zainab in the face. And they bow down in shame for what they have done. And Zainab returns to the men and the women and the children. And she must be there for them. And now they are held captive. And they are taken by way of the evil and cruel dictator that is Yazid and Muawiyah. And she not only has to be captured, but she has to look upon the face of the disgrace that is a human that has done all that he has done to her family, and at no cause. These are Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah. What evil could they have possibly done to anyone? Absolutely nothing. And look at the way that they were treated. Let's go forth. She is now captive. And who is left with Zainab, aside from the women and the children? Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, her nephew, who we know was ill. Again, she has to take care of her nephew. And just like her father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, had laid in the bed of Nabi Muhammad when they came to attack Nabi Muhammad, she lay her body across Zayn al-Abidin. And she said, "If you kill him, you must kill me first. Spare the life of our Imam Ali Zayn al-Abidin." This is Zainab. This is our leader. This is our example. Not a poor, frail, yelling, screaming, hitting herself woman. No. She came from Amir al-Mu'mineen, who till today you cannot say there was anyone stronger. She came from Rasulullah, Khatam al-Anbiya, the final of the prophets. There can be no stronger. This is Zainab. This is who we are to live by. To say that we are of Ahlul Bayt, this is not a little sentence. This is not something slight. Understand the words you are saying. You are saying, I choose the most noble, the most precious, the most pure of people to lead me by example. They have tread the footsteps and we have nothing but to follow. When we have our daughters, raise them to be as Fatima and as Zainab. Raise them to be in their purity, in their faith, in their nobility. This is Zainab. For without Zainab and her eloquence and her ability to be brave and speak amongst others, we today would not know what happened during Karbala and to her family. When she stood in front of the evils, and whenever she was kicked from one land to another because she was causing too many people to believe her, she still remained and she still told her story. And people became believers with her. And people understood the gravity of what had been happening and the truth of what had been happening. Until eventually, she was martyred because there was nothing else to stop her. Assalamu alayki ya Zainab. Assalamu alayki ya Zainab. Peace be upon her when she was born. Peace be upon her when she was martyred. And peace be upon her when she returns. When all of Ahl al-Bayt return. I want to close with one final statement. Al-Hussein alayhi salam, as he was leaving, repeated one ayah from the Quran. It was the ayah from Surah Al-Kahf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أم حسبتم أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا. You think that Ahl al-Kahf, who disappeared and suddenly came about many years later, you think that was a miracle? Do you think that was amazing? Wait, there will be a grander miracle. There will be something even more amazing to come your way. And this, when he comes, will avenge me and my people and will take what's rightfully mine back. What you took away from me, he will return to us. And he will show the truth and he will bring to light, who do I speak of? Who is this miracle? But Imamuna wa Habibuna wa Sayyid, صاحب العصر والزمان أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. Oh Allah, by the burden of Hussein, appease the burden of Hussein and appease the burden of Zainab by hastening the appearance of Imam al-Mahdi أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. And Allah grant us all to be, grant us the blessing, grant us the honor to be of the followers of Imam Mahdi أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف, to be of his servants, to be of his warriors, to be of his supporters, to be anything in his realm when he returns, and allow us to be on the noble and straight path. I want to conclude with Al-Fatiha, preceded by Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad